Welcome back, everyone, for another edition of Aging in Style with American Retirement Advisors. So joining us now, of course, we have President and owner Joe Vitale. It's good to see you, Joe. How are you?
Good to see you, Blake. Doing good. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for calling in. All right, so before we begin, don't forget to get Joe's newsletter, Financial Vitals, for the latest in market trends and financial news. You could get it right now by scanning the QR code that you see on your screen. Today's topic, though, is diversification in retirement. And Joe, we love this question. We got to start off by knowing, why is it smart to be properly allocated?
Well, you know, it's the turmoil in the market. We've seen the ups, the downs last year, COVID, the year before. People, you know, if you're not diversified, you're not going to be able to ride the highs and lows. Or you don't want to ride the lows, but you don't want to get hurt as bad when that happens. A lot of times what happens, too, is you see where people say, oh, my gosh, I've got all this in equities or in stocks and the market's here. But you know what's crazy is you could have small caps, large cap, mid caps. You could have value, you could have growth, all these different strategies in the stock market. People say, well, I own stocks. Yeah, but what kind of stocks? Yeah. And the reason you say that is because last year you saw the market go down anywhere between 8 to 30%, you know, and that's the broad indexes. But you don't know if you're only in growth or if you're only in value or if you're going to miss it. So the diversification is going to allow you to have a nice even kill, a nice equalization balance in there. But also, when the stocks go down, you also want to have another diversification strategy where you have safety. You know, and everybody used to think that bonds were where you wanted to be. You know, bonds are safe. Really? They lost 15 last year. So they're not really that safe, but they're less risky according to that. But you want to look at other avenues where you do have those safety nets where there is no risk. Yeah. It's good to have stocks, good to have bonds, but you also want to have safety where you can't lose principal.
Yeah, good to know. And to help us understand chasing indexes and returns, is that really safe to kind of chase past performances?
It's almost like, you know, you see a stock go up and like everybody jumps in, get in, because it's too late. It's already up. You don't want to buy in when it's at its peak. You want to get in when it's low. But everybody chases that. They chase returns. They say, oh, this is a great stock, get in. Well, it's too late at that point. And it's the same thing that holds true, where sometimes we'll have one of our portfolios is a growth, like a small cap tech portfolio, and it would like 45% one year. So everybody chases it. The next year it goes down 10%, but the other portfolio went up. So you don't want to just chase returns. Again, the best strategy, like you just said, equal allocation. You know, let's be equally allocated, proper allocation, making sure that you've got it spread out. You know, we've got some nice portfolios where they actually tilt and they go from one to the other, and it's all active management. So we don't have to try to be so smart and chase the returns. We can let the professional managers do that for us by looking at the trends, looking at what's happening, but just being properly diversified, you can just have that peace of mind.
So, Joe, I want to know the best strategy of getting a good rate of return and keeping our retirement funds safe.
Oh, that's the $1 million question, right? So that's the one that everybody's like, how can I get a good rate of return and not lose my money? Well, as we could tell last year, it wasn't in bonds because we didn't do it. But you see a lot of strategies. We talk about fixed index products like annuities. You got to be careful with annuities. I always want to preface that they're not the be all end all. And a lot of people will go into those thinking that their money is safe, but you know they're really not making any money or they're lackluster returns, and that's going to happen. I've got some people say, Joe, I got this annuity, but I got no return last year. Well, I agree, you made nothing last year, but what did you lose? Nothing. That's the key. So that's the other thing. You want to have that peace of mind where if the market goes down, you don't lose anything, but if it goes up, you could get 7, 8, 9, 10%. They're not going to get that all the time, but I think you're going to see them average probably 4 to 6%, which is a nice, steady, safe rate of return without the risk, and that's really what's important.
So stock market volatility is something that we're still seeing a lot of, meaning the measure of how much the stock market's overall value fluctuates up and down. So, Joe, what would you say is a good approach in investing with, you know, these type of conditions?
Yeah, when you're looking at the volatility and depending, a lot of our clients are getting into retirement right now or have been in retirement and they don't have that stomach for that volatility any longer. When you're working and you're contributing to your 401k and you see maybe 10 to 15 years out, you're going to retire, you've got time. You don't worry about the ups and downs as much in the market because you know your growth and you got 10 to 15 years before you need the money. But when you're coming into retirement or in retirement, it's huge. You really don't need that volatility. You don't want to have to look at it. And some people, quite honestly, can't stomach it anymore. So at that point, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we've got our safe bucket of money. We got safe money we can pull with a reasonable rate of return. We got safety. We can take it at any time. You might have some volatility in the stock market, but it's limited, where you can have money for growth and it can have more volatility. But because you can peel off dividends or you've got safe money coming in or you got a good emergency fund or cash on hand and your income is protected, you don't have to worry as much. So you gotta, that's one thing that we like to look at with our clients is to make sure that everybody is prepared for that volatility. And if they can't stomach it, there's nothing wrong with that. We just don't put them in the market because, we don't need that.
Right.
But as long as it's okay to have a little bit of volatility because that's where the growth is going to come from long term. But just make sure you're properly allocated.
Always goes back to that, Joe, right?
Sure
Properly
does, yeah.
allocated. All right. So does diversification look different, of course, depending on the age you are when investing and saving for your retirement?
Absolutely, because if you look at it too, there's an age-old rule of 100 says whatever your age is, that's how much of your money should be in safety. So when you're 20 years old and just getting started, 20% maybe for safety, the rest of it should be growth, growth, growth. But now when you're 60, 70, that much money needs to be safe because you have a shorter horizon. You got to make sure that money lasts you. So your risk tolerance changes over time, what you're able to accept as risk. And you really have to be more careful about how you're going to allocate money. And that's part of it. Part of being a fiduciary as well is making sure that we have a color money risk score where we look at what their risk score is and how they feel about money. We're really not able to put them in risky investments depending on how they feel about it, especially where they are in their retirement, how much income they have, what their age is, and their risk. So we have to be sure that we properly allocate them again with risk at the appropriate time as they get older.
Man, Joe, I can only imagine the types of trends that you have seen in your wide range of clients and in terms of age. It's interesting to see. Anything else you would like to add?
It is. It's very interesting. You see a lot of different things happen over time. But yeah, this is so appropriate because people are saying chasing returns is, oh my gosh, we got the trends over time is going to stocks, going to bonds, going to annuities, going to the. There are so many different things. The best thing is number one, you got to look at what's comfortable for you, what feels really good about it. We tell everybody, when we go over the plan, they say, hey, think about it, pray about it, make sure this is what you want to do and comfortable. Again, the one thing is when we're doing this is as long as we have that money coming in every month, that mailbox money, you got income to make sure you're taking care of your needs. You can do a lot of different diversification to make sure that you're properly set up. But a lot of times, the biggest thing is a lot of times people try to take care of it themselves. And, I like there's a commercial where a guy tries to take his own appendix out or whatever. You can't do that. So some things you need a professional for. It's not rocket science, but it's really nice to have the peace of mind of knowing that you've got somebody who's got your back, who's helping take care of the next 30 years and making your money last. So give us a call. We're here to help.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of this sounds like you don't want to follow the leader. The only leader you want to follow is your advisor.
There you have it. That's it.
All right, very good, Joe. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thanks, Blake. Take care. It's good to see you.
Good to see you, too. And don't forget to get the market updates and so much more through Joe's newsletter, Financial Vitals. You can get it through that QR code that you see on your screen. Also, for more information on today's topic, go to the Aging in Style page on WNEM.com.